Alrighty.
Hi, Mr. Berger, how are you? I don't think we're live on Facebook yet. Now we are. How are you?
It's good. We got
super.
It's a super day, super morning, super.
Super
Alrighty.
skies, super real estate. Six weeks till how long? We're not far away from December. Happy time of the year.
I know.
Giddy up.
Go on quick. Alrighty. I've got Facebook on. Let's get rolling.
So let's talk about superannuation. It's a bit of a topic that it's a bit of a private topic.
Yeah, not many people talk about super or the ins and the outs of it. I must admit. Good morning, Todd.
Hey, Todd.
I'm not too. And Mike's on Instagram. How are you? I'm
Todd.
not too familiar with the logistics or the back end of a super purchase. I know a lot of my clients have these large super schemes, but a lot of the clients that I'm dealing with, they're generally 40, 50, 60. So buying super has changed dramatically in the last sort of decade to compare how it was, is my understanding.
Yeah.
Even though I deal with a lot of people buying in their super, I know it's maybe not practical, or you can still do it now. I've got a lot of clients rolling stuff out. And then you got first homeowner super. So let's just start with, Mark, your understanding of buying super. Maybe let's do something a bit more that you haven't got super, like you haven't bought in your super at the moment. You may have a couple $100,000 in your super. You may be 40.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Virgin 40.
Yeah.
Yes.
Super buyer. I've been working hard. Maybe an investment. Good morning, Luke. So can you still buy a property in your superannuation?
Okay. We got a couple of pros in here. We got Luke. Luke would know precisely what we're talking about. So I look forward to your contribution, Luke. And also Todd, and I don't know how much, Todd, you want to talk about on a personal level, because Todd's a bit of a pro as well. But when we're talking about super, it's a really interesting topic because, when you buy a place, say you buy somewhere to live in, you talk about it with your friends and family. When you buy an investment property, may come up in conversation with friends and family, but super is probably a little bit more private. So it's harder to learn about it unless you've had that one-on-one conversation with someone who's willing to share that information, or that one-on-one conversation with your accountant. Sorry guys, I've just got an ambulance. No, I've got an escort every day I go to work by normally a police vehicle or an ambulance, and sometimes I get a bit close to them from behind, so the sirens are very noisy. Okay, so with
your joke.
Okay. All right. So if with superannuation, guys, the government makes us put in, and this is not financial advice, this is just observations of what clients tell us, accountants tell us, solicitors tell us. So correct me if I'm wrong, and speak to your accountant to verify this sort of information. Don't rely on it. It's not advice. So you got 9.5% a year of whatever you earn that has to go towards. The government makes us, fortunately or unfortunately, the government makes us contribute that to a kitty. The kitty's your kitty, and the idea is when you retire, you will put 9.5% into that kitty, for the next 40 years of work. And then what will happen is then they will allow you to pull out of that kitty when you're retired. So people often get a little bit frustrated about the money in the kitty because they can't touch it. And the government says, you know what, it's a one-way kitty. We'll let you put your money in. You can't take your money out. And people really get the shits, and they go, you know what? I've got 100 grand there, or 50 grand there, or 200 grand there, or 500,000 grand there. You can't tell me that I have to have, you have to give me the flexibility of where I want. So then there started to be different superannuation funds, and then you can put it there because you think they're a better super fund. That still wasn't good enough for people. And people said, you know what? We want to have the ability to buy properties. And the government said, yeah, look, we'll support that as well, because we think, we don't want to be just all stocks with this. I think there's about $3 trillion in super, in Australian super. We don't want it all in stocks. It's probably smart to have it also in property. So what the government said they'll do is, I said, you know what, guys, we're going to let you manage your own super, which is expensive, about $2,000 a year. And we're going to let you manage your super, but there's going to be a shitload of rules. And everyone turned around and said, yeah, look, no worries. We're happy for there to be rules if we can buy property, and lots of rules if we can buy property with our super. So then the government turned around and said, these are the rules. Now, the ones that are really prevalent, there's thousands of rules around it, but the ones that are real prevalent is you can't actually live in your property that you buy with your super. Rule number one, you can't live in the property that you buy with your super. Also, with loaning, the interest rates higher by about 2 or 3%, in some cases double what you get, the normal interest rate, because the banks reckon there's more risk. The other thing is the deposit you have to put down is much greater, again, because the banks see it as high risk. My understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the banks see it as high risk because it's governed investment. It's governed by laws of the government. So what can actually happen in one foul swoop, the government can come along and say, we've changed the laws. And it's very hard to do that just with an investment property that you own or an investment property that I own, for the government to come and put their hand in the kitty. But governments can do that with super. So that's why it's a bit riskier money. That's why banks charge more. That's why banks need a bigger deposit. Now, here's the exciting part, and I'm going to bring that over to you, Michael. Here's the exciting part. If I've got some money in my super, what are my options?
Commercial property or residential? Is that where you're going? What type of property?
Yeah. So let's. Can I use a working example? Let's use a real innocent and basic example of me and my wife are 28 years of age. We've both been putting into super for the last 10 years. We're both on really good wages, and we own a house, and we'd love to buy an investment property in our super. What are the parameters? How would you go about it, Michael?
Not too sure. But as far as I'm aware, like your super is set there. So you may have, say, $400,000 in there. My understanding is you still go to your broker, a normal broker that would do a normal loan for a property. Can still do a superannuation loan. I believe they've just got to get some more supporting documents from the government of the balance.
Okay, so if
I believe your LVR is a lot different. So
it's different. Capacity. So if I'm 28, the two 28-year-olds, say they're fortunate enough from day one, just for example, say they're fortunate enough from day one to be earning 100,000 each.
Yeah.
Silly
so
example.
$10,000 a year, 100,000 a year,
very,
200
very
grand. Yeah.
Correct. Just go with these figures so I can. I don't know I've inflated it and who earns that money when they leave, but let's just use they got 200 in the kitty between husband and wife. Let's use that example. There's 200 there. So there's 200. The wife's got her money with her employer and the super. The husband's got his money with his employer, has their own selected super. They turn around to their superannuation companies and they go to their accountant. They say, look, this is the idea. Accountant goes, great idea. And they go, what do you reckon I can do, Mr. Accountant? The accountant goes, you know what? With 200 grand, you could put down a nice deposit on a property. Almost, if you buy a property for 400 grand in your super, or you'd have for 50% deposit. And they go, that's correct. And the accountant goes, okay, well, why don't we set up a superannuation so you can buy a property? And they go, great.
They're going to do a self-managed super fund, because you may be in, say, Sun Super with your 100 grand, and then you got to transfer it to a self-managed super. And that's where you always see on contracts, I don't know, Burgeo Super Fund or Burgeo Family Super Fund. That's what it is.
As trustee for Burgeo Super Fund, So
that's what they've done.
Yeah, so what happens is you go to your accountant, the accountant says, okay, well, we're going to set up a super fund. Because most of us don't even know where our super is, because you've been in 1, 2, 3 different employers. and you can actually do tracemysuper.com.au. I think that's the website where you whack your details, TFN. Be careful, your TFN in and your details, and they will send you back where all your superannuation money is if it's not all in one place. Now, what you'll do, you've got 200 grand, so you got 50% deposit. You say to your accountant, say, look, often your accountant will say, leave it all to me, because they'll make a lot of money out of it, because they're now going to be managing your super on a yearly basis for the rest of your life. They love that. Yeah. Accountancy fees, they love that. So then what happens is they'll set up the super, they'll put you in contact with a broker, or you can go to your own broker. And it is a big pain in the ass to get these super loans. They make you jump through so many hoops.
Yeah, Todd just said, good tip, good accountant required, takes a long time to set up. And I think from an agent's point of view, don't tell me about it. The amount of times I've shown a buyer through and they're like, yep, just got to do it in my super. I'll let you know in 3 months when it's ready. And it's like, we planned out and sold in 3 days. You want to buy it in something else? And like, no, it has to be a super purchase. So I've definitely experienced that. So I think, and that's one of those things going, sorry, I'm just getting a phone call. Does the chicken or the egg first sort of thing? Do you set up the super or do you find the property? Do you find the property, then set up the super? So go on, Mark. Yeah,
you know what? No rules, just make it happen.
Yeah.
Either or, cock it up, do it backwards, do it forwards, who cares, do it sideways. So, okay, so you found a property for 400K, you've got 200K in your super, your broker or your accountant's broker gets the loan, you buy the property. Now, this is the exciting bit. All your 9.5% that you earn every year will drill down that mortgage. The rent that comes in for the property will drill down that mortgage, because the mortgage is only 200 grand. And if you're buying a property for 400K, what's the rent?
Yeah, so generally on, let's say commercial, just give round number 10%. So 40 grand a year. Your interest is say 5% on the 220. You're positive $20,000 a year.
Okay, so
and
it's going to pay that.
Half.
So that 200 grand mortgage will pay itself down hard, because you're slamming 20, you're slamming 40 into that. Sorry, you're slamming the interest and you're taking 20 off a year.
Yep.
Plus the 9.5%. So this couple that's earning 9.5%.
On 200 grand equity, that's another 20 grand.
Another 20 grand. So
200K income.
Fucking boom. So you got 20 plus 20, you got 40 being chopped off every year off that 200. In 5 years,
it's fucking paid off.
Right? Now, that's the good news. Guess what the bad news is?
Tell me. Sounds too good to be true.
You can't touch it.
Yeah.
All right.
Because not only for the next 30 years, because you paid off in 5 years and you can't touch your super until you retire 65. So
you can't touch it. It's like what do they call it? A prick tease. Like, you can't do anything. It's just there. You look at it, you're proud of it. But it gets even worse. You can't use it for a deposit for anything else.
As in, what about another deposit on a commercial? Nothing. So you're just going to have this property just... So where does the money go? Just or you can't use it, just keeps growing. So then you've only got so then you've got to wait for your super to build up again to buy something else. And that extra money you're putting in there, that 20 grand a year positive, after 5 years, it's 40 grand a year. It's just going to sit there, and you're only ever going to be getting, well, no real return. Is there interest on that or on that 40 that's going in there?
Oh, look, once you've paid off that loan, that 40 will start building a pot. So it'll start that. So the loan's gone. The property's worth 400 grand. The super owns it outright with no mortgage, and it's growing by 40 grand a year plus your wage.
Okay, but you can use that 40.
Plus your wage, 60. So there's 60 every year. That's big. there's 60 every year. So after 5 years, there's another 300K in cash that you can use as a deposit.
Oh, you just mean you can't use the equity. Sorry, I was getting, can't use the equity. Not like a residential or investment where you get in the capital growth, you pay it down. Okay. So you can't use the equity in your commercial, because a lot of people would think, well, I've already got, if I only got a 50, if the LVR, the loan ratio is 50%, I can leverage that to buy something else. So nah.
Yeah.
Cash is king in super. As
Todd
says, you need to touch it, leave it until you retire. Very true.
And you know what? When you retire, imagine like, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, that you could do with that. You know what I mean? Like crazy. Do you know what I mean? It would be, just spend it all in Vegas. Just put on black in Vegas and one crazy night when you're 65, 70.
Yeah, Marachi would do that, wouldn't you? He just joined us on Instagram. Sounds like Marachi.
Marachi would definitely be spending on sex, drugs, and rock and roll and his superannuation. But I'll tell you something, and there's risks involved. It sounds great and it sounds shit in so many different parts. But another example is they may move that age, Michael.
Which part? When the super, when you can take it out 65 at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah. So imagine them moving that way. So the way, and this is where people spew about it, because they're like, I'm there. Now it's
I know,
70.
you're almost there. That'll suck if they move it, wouldn't it?
Look, people have been commenting on my grades. I don't give a shit. This is wisdom. But they made to, by the time you get there, which is, not that far behind me, By the time you get there, the government may turn around and say, hey, that money you put into your super when you were 30 and you were going to take it out at 65. You go, yeah. Well, now that's 70. What? Yeah. I can't touch that money till I'm 70.
Another 5 years.
Oh my God. That would rock some people's world. Not only that, it may do a double hump. Imagine if they turn around and say it's 75. And you can't touch that.
Population's a lot. I think I don't know the stats. Maybe.
Imagine.
We're getting a lot older. But also, okay, so what are the other things to look for is not every bank or what it has really tightened. Didn't a lot of banks in the last 2 years almost stop it? Super buying. I knew.
Well, with all this all the Royal Commission stuff, we
had a couple owners in the Osprey who bought properties in there going, fuck, I've got one of the last loans I can get from my super. If it does not settle before then, I won't get this loan again and I won't be buying it. So I know there was something end of last year, December, which I know Westpac barred. I think Westpac were one of the last banks giving super loans. So is that back on now, or is that still out?
It's not back on, but it's getting to be back on. So I believe I had a client the other day that said I think it was Juno Bank was good, had fairly good rates. I heard Latrobe are doing fairly good rates. So they're coming back online slowly. But very interesting. I talked to one of the most influential people in the broking business in the country last night, personal friend, and they were saying that it's just got to loosen up. And he was talking about the whole lending market, but I think that's going to translate across to super as well. But I think particularly for SME, it's very, very hard for these guys to borrow money. Small, medium enterprise businesses, and very, very hard. So super, I think will get better. I think it'll go in and out of waves. And I think if you've got, I think get ready to get a couple of electric shocks in your superannuation by our friends at government governing it. So my suggestion is superannuation should be meat and 3 veg. It should be one of the vegetables. It should never be the meat. On the side, just have that money working for you. Don't try too hard to power it and make it all your whole investment, but just have it sitting there, just small, smart money, not big money.
Yeah.
We got any comments today?
I just Todd's made a few ones with the accountant, but that's about it. Any questions, let us know. I think also another one will be first homeowners buying in their super. Obviously, with the who won? Liberal, Labor, whatever, whoever they won, their policy for first homeowners being able to use their super as a deposit to buy. I've just got the article up here. Let me go through that. Give me 2 seconds. It was basically you could
that's a good point. You could grab
super saver scheme explained. In 2017, the federal government announced a new scheme to help first homeowners get a deposit for a property purchase. The scheme came into law July 1, 2018. Basically, first home buyers can access up to $15,000 in super contribution per year, up to $30,000 in total. A couple buying a house could therefore use up to $60,000 in voluntary superannuation contribution. So that means saved over 2 years. The biggest benefit of the scheme is that you can earn higher rate of return on money and also while paying lower tax. So that above, that means you're putting your night. So let's use that example of $100,000 a year couple.
Wow, you just nailed the big one. You've nailed the big one, dude. Where the hell has this been? I've completely forgot about it.
Yeah. So, okay, let's use that example, 28-year-old couple. Now,
hey, I reckon, can we bring that into another segment? That is a cracker. I don't think we can tip it on to the end. It's too big and too beautiful.
Okay.
Let's make that for another time.
First
it is a big one.
Super. Yeah, let's do that one. We could talk for a while.
Oh yeah. I think we
have a struggle anyway.
Yeah, I think we'll educate ourselves a bit more on it as well as that, so we'll be a bit stronger. But that's great. Great idea. All right. Well, hopefully we helped everyone out there today.
Yeah.
And thanks
for the audience. These topics were given to us. I think Todd did the super and Boki did yesterday's topic. So let us know what you want us to speak about. We will talk about it. If you need any further information, we're always here as well. There will be a podcast. This is on YouTube. It is on the Novat website. It's everywhere. Anything else you want to add, Mark?
No, that's right. This is the podcast. So you can, if you want to access this to send to friends or family, help them out, let's do it.
Awesome. All righty, guys. Thank you. See you tomorrow morning.